For today's lesson, we're going to connect the sensors such as the ultrasonic, the infrared, and the PIR sensor. So these images here are the three sensors that I have mentioned. So this is the ultrasonic sensor. It has 4 pins wherein you have your BCC, your trigger, your echo, and your ground. So the way it functions is that once you trigger the sensor, it will send 8 pulses, and then it would compute the amount of time that the sent signal would return. So that is why this can also be used as a sensor to measure the distance between an object and this sensor. So another sensor is this infrared sensor. It only has 3 terminals, the ground, VCC, and the out. So basically, it can also detect obstacle, as well as sometimes it is used as color detection, because for this sensor, if there is a black surface, it would eventually absorb the light and no reflections will be made and no signal will be received by its receiver side. Then the last that we'll be using is the PIR motion sensor. It also has 3 terminals, same with this previous sensor. So you have the ground, output, and the supply voltage. So to demonstrate the 3 sensors and how to use it, so I have already written the code. So some of the codes are actually available in the net. So we have here the Arduino Uno as well as the ultrasonic sensor. You have the 4 pins. So the VCC, trigger, echo, and ground. So this is the VCC, trigger, echo, and ground. So we will be needing only 4 connections. As you can see in the program, echo pin 2, trigger pin 3. So you can choose any digital pins, because basically we just want to determine if there would be a high or low in the echo pin. For the trigger pin, we just enable the ultrasonic sensor to transmit a signal. So to do that, we need to have 4 wires. So for the connections, first we have the VCC. So connect the VCC. To any VCC or 5-volt supply in your Arduino board. So in this case, it can be located on this side, 4th. So next is the trigger. We're going to connect the trigger to pin 3. So digital pin 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Next is the echo pin. We connect that to pin 2. Again, you can use any digital pins for your trigger and echo. Then lastly, the ground pin. Okay, so those are the connections. So let us see the contents of the program. So we have defined echo pin to be 2 and trigger pin to be 3. Then we define the duration, which will be the time before the signal that was sent will be received by the receiver part. Then the distance, that will be the completed distance in centimeters. So now for the setup, we will define the pins. So we only use 2 digital pins, one for input and one for output. Serial, we're going to use the serial for us to display the received data, the computed distance. Then for so these are just messages. For the void loop, first you need to make sure that the trigger pin is low. So that's why we set it as low. Before we send a delay of 10 microseconds, so we need to send a pulse which has a duration of 10 microseconds. Then after transmitting the given signal, you need to return the trigger pin to its low state. For the next part, we need to determine if there is a signal returned to the echo pin. So once a signal is returned, it measures the distance by multiplying the duration with 0.034. So this is the constant for the sound traveled through air. So we divide that by 2 because that would be for 2 and going back from the source. So this serial print and serial print line is just to display the value as well as the message distance and in centimeters. So to do that, so we need to download this. So first we need to plug the Arduino. So now it's plugged and turned on. Next is to download the given program, assuming that the port is correct. So it will be downloaded. So done uploading. Next is to open the serial monitor. So you now have this serial monitor. So to determine the distance, so there's so the distance displayed is 0. So let us verify. So it should be displaying a value which is greater than 0. So let us verify if the connections are correct, even the pins. So 0, 1, 2. So there might be some loose connections with regards to okay. So ground and light. Okay. So it was connected both to ground. So that's why I verified the connection. So if you can see, the value varies depending on where I point the sensor. So I'm just going to point it at a distance around an inch from the table. So as you can see, it's around 3 centimeters, so around an inch. So I'm going to adjust it, so to make it low or high. So depending on the distance, the sensor would vary. So that is how you connect the ultrasonic sensor to your Arduino for it to be able to measure the distance from your sensor to a nearby object.